is a balancing act, and I hope everybody has a good workplace out there, and you know, or is working toward that. And I hope we all
Yeah.
get to work in these good environments. Welcome back, folks. This is episode 19 of It's About Your Paycheck. We're talking about working in a modern workspace or workplace, whatever you like to call it. And what does that look like for us, right? What does good and right look like these days? Before we get into it, Walt, how you doing today, sir?
Man, I am good. Happy Sunday to you, brother. Man, I am ecstatic. I was doing the research for this episode because it put out some good stats and stuff like that I think are
Yes,
going
I
to be
saw that.
interesting for us
Yes.
to share.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
so
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, same thing. I was like, oh man, this is good stuff. And before we get into that, I got our news updates, and that looks cool.
Yeah,
I got a couple little nuggets, right? So it's a nice feel
yeah.
good episode. Let's get into it. Before we get into the what a modern workplace could look like, we have a few new pay news updates. And on brand for this topic, I got an article from Forbes magazine, and it's 4 reasons to let workers stay home why 4 reasons to let workers stay home, basically work
Mm,
from home, basically. And the number one reason is cost savings for organizations. Like we
mm,
talk about that all the time, right? As we talk about, oh yeah, if the company only realized how much money they can save, we can all be home. And it's true. But I did spend some time in commercial real estate as a payroll pro. Actually, my first job as a no, my second job as a payroll professional, or how can I say? Sorry for going down a tangent here. My first dedicated role as a payroll person was with a commercial real estate firm. And what I can say is that it's hard sometimes for companies to get out of the leases. The commercial leases are like 5, 10, 15, 20 years long. And yeah,
mm,
and if you're smart, you get some, what do they call it? Like a good guide as an exit strategy if you need to get out
yeah,
early. But if you don't put that into your lease, then you can, and you got to pay penalties to come out. So I get how companies may not be so quick to say, okay, everybody's home. Then they're left with this big space, and it's like, what do you do then? So you
yeah.
got to work toward it, right? Yes, but again, number one reason, cost savings for organization. The second reason is now a company has a access to a global talent pool, right?
Hmm.
I mean, I probably would warn against, not warn, but it may make it a little complicated if you're going out of the country. But if you're in the US, start in the US. I would start in your state first, right? If you're a company, put it in if you are embracing the remote workplace strategy, I would say still, from a payroll perspective and a cost perspective, you probably want to stay in states that you're in. If you're already established in a few states, then start your searches there, right? Because
Yeah,
think about it now, right, if you get somebody in a new state, you have to now set up a new business nexus and a new sales tax and a new, so there's some expense and cost involved in going into a new state, and definitely more so into a new country. So my recommendation would be, yeah, embrace the remote situation, but maybe start to mitigate some costs, start where you already are. And then if,
hmm,
of course, if you find some amazing talent that, oh, this is the person, then go for it. You got to do what you got to do because you'll
yeah,
gain that back.
yeah.
What else? The third one is higher, and as we will talk more about this, higher levels of well-being for your
Mm,
employees, right? So
yes.
a quick poll here. I got a poll here. I didn't go into details on this one, but I caught a poll here. Survey by one poll on behalf of DoorDash revealed that 42% of remote workers envision their ideal schedule as mostly remote.
Okay.
Good takeaway there. And the last reason is less turnover among workers. Among
Wow.
HR professionals, yeah, 78% state that flexible schedules and remote working options can help retain workers without spending money. So
Mm,
that's a those are 4 good reasons why companies should just let us keep working from home.
yeah, yeah.
If you're blessed to do it. Because remember that other stat we came across, only about 30% of us can actually work from home,
Yes,
right? Because
yes, yes.
if you're a nurse, you're not. If no, let me rephrase that. Some nurses probably can, depending on what you do. If you're a caregiver, most of the time you got to be on site somewhere to
You have to be on
give
site.
care.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, if you're a
Yeah.
bus driver, you're not doing that remotely.
If you work at a
Not
restaurant,
yet.
you may not be working remote just yet.
There you go. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. That's going to be tough to do that. But it's interesting. And before we get into it, real quick, one there's a restaurant my son likes, and it's I forget Master Bao or something like that. I don't know, but it's Korean barbecue, and it's one of those places where you could cook on the table, basically.
Yeah,
So they
grill. Yeah,
have they do ramen and they do a grilling feature,
yeah.
but they also have a a robot basically that
Oh
brings the
wow.
food out. Yeah. There's so the you know what? Now that I think about it, it's not a lot. There's only a few wait. It definitely impacts the wait staff there
Oh
because
yeah,
that thing just brings it out.
that's
And
interesting.
as we say on the show a lot, right? Think about it. Circle back to what we say that the even though AI is coming and robotics is coming, humans aren't ready to relinquish total control to them,
Not
right? We're
yet.
gonna want a liaison. We're gonna want, hey, this robot is messing up. Come talk. This is
Yes.
hey, this is not my food. We still gonna want to
Yeah.
interact with people.
Yeah.
So don't worry, folks. I know not everything is gonna go away soon. I'm sorry. As I say that, I just think about you. Just I don't. I feel like you just shared something with me about folks getting laid off because they're bringing AI in,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. I just thought about that because one of my good friends gave me some stats for her workplace, and she
Yeah,
said, "Hey, you should really dive into this topic because it's really impacting our work." So that's something that you're probably going to be seeing us talk about on both this show, and it's about
yeah.
payroll.
That's right.
It's
That's right.
crazy, man.
Agreed, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where I'll leave it today. What do you got for us, sir?
So I'm coming. I think when I thought about this, I think it's an argument based on what it's talking about. It's an argument for people going back in the office that some of these CEOs and these officers of the corporation are like saying, hey, oh, this is why people need to come back into the office. So it's talking about quiet quitting amongst higher paid workers. This
Mm,
is from MSN. They got their information from payroll provider ADP and its research institute, and it found that the highest earning workers as well as young workers and female workers are working fewer hours than they did prior to the pandemic. So ADP
okay.
tracked 13 million hourly workers who kept the same
Okay.
job for 4 years
Oh,
ending last December, meaning
okay.
that meaning the drop in
Through
hours
the
wasn't
pandemic. Yeah.
yeah wasn't because people were laid off or switched jobs.
Right.
While it's not clear if workers or employers initiated the drop, the pullback among the highest paid workers provide a clue, according to one of the spokespersons. Right.
Got it.
So here's a little bit more context for that, or some stats. Right.
Yeah.
Workers in the highest paid 25%, which are those that make a little over 79,000 or above, had the largest drop in hours worked. The
Wow.
lowest paid, on the other hand, are working more. More, a significant portion of people working fewer hours saw their incomes rise,
Okay.
not fall, indicating that less
Okay.
work isn't necessarily a bad thing for the budget bottom line. So I found that fascinating,
Interesting.
right? Because I think people get stats like this, companies get stats like these, and there's, oh, our higher earning folks are working less than the lower paying folks. Then what's going on? They need to come back into office, and they might try to come from that point and use those old traditional means to say, hey, come back into the office. What's that? Return to office, RTO.
Return or yeah.
Yeah, return to office. Like, so they may try to use these type of things to get people to come back in. So I find it fascinating that these ADP did this stat for the last 4 years for all these hourly folks and came up with this information. What do you think about it, Brian?
I think it is really interesting. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those folks like that that are doing less for
Yeah,
more.
yeah, yeah.
I think that working from home, I don't know. It depends on your work ethic, right? But
Yes.
working from home for someone like me, I do more. I think that because I
Hmm.
can spread my time across the day the way I need to, I always I always want to keep an equitable dynamic with my employer, meaning you're paying me for 8 hours a day, and that's what I'm going to give you, no less. But you're working from home, and I'm not an hourly employee, so it's more of a deliverable base. As long as I get
Hmm.
my work done and my things
Yep.
delivered, then it's like, hey, leads to that whole, hey, you're working less, getting paid more.
Yeah.
But from again, it's work ethic, right? Me and you both do this. We're working on the weekends sometimes. We'll do something on the
Yep.
weekends real quick. But that's our prerogative. It's something that it's like that's just me. You know what I mean? And I
Yep.
argue with you all the time. Stop doing it. And you said something very articulate recently that I was like, oh, I can't even argue with that. You know what I mean? Like, all right, bro, I get it, no doubt.
Hmm.
Because I just worry. I don't want anybody to burn out, and that's really the concern for the work ethic where you're working a lot from home is
Yes.
look, don't burn out. But it's two sides of it because it's if you like what you do
Yep.
and you don't have a then it's like you're not really burning out. You're just doing some stuff you like. I think I don't know if this is still on the same path, but I think that folks that kind of work a lot from home do a lot. I think you just got to be mindful of balancing it out. You know what I mean? Don't forget to
Yes.
spend time with your family. Don't
Yes.
forget to sit yourself. Don't forget to recharge, however that looks for you.
Yep.
And that looks differently for everybody. So, however that looks for you, just don't forget to recharge. Don't forget to be present in your families, like whatever that
Absolutely.
is.
This episode is presented by TrakGO, the simply better employee time clock software that is going to make your life easier. In addition to the unique graphical employee time card that helps you quickly identify and fix mistakes, TimeTrack Go is excited to announce it's now compatible with QuickBooks Desktop, providing effortless data transfer and reduced errors. TimeTrack Go will not only save you time and money each week, but the easy to understand user interface and the ability to turn an ordinary tablet into an employee time clock will get you and your team up and going in just minutes. Find out what a simply better solution can do for your business. To learn more and sign up for your 14-day free trial, go to www.timetrackgo.com. That's TIMETRAK go.com or call 888-321-9922. Let's go.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but
Remote work, I think, was becoming a thing because we've connected with people, even on the show, who said they had been working remote before the pandemic
yes, yeah,
happened. Well,
yeah,
it was a thing, but I don't
it
think that
was.
a lot of people were doing it. But the pandemic kind of forced
It forced
companies
it. Yeah,
to transform, to adapt, to
yep,
change, and it forced
yep,
more people to say, "Hey, man, like I need to hire somebody in Florida, and
yep,
our office is in Seattle." And but this person gets the job done, and they were like, "Hey, just hire a
yeah,
remote workforce, and we can save
yep,
money." Like to your point, we don't have to have an office space. Everybody's remote, work from home. We're good. Let me get right into it then.
yeah.
I
Go
have
for
a
it.
couple of different stats, and then Brian's going to come with his information. Employers can transform their workplaces into modern environments by embracing various strategies, such as implementing flexible work arrangements, prioritizing employee well-being through wellness programs and benefits, fostering a culture of collaboration and innovation, and leveraging technology for efficiency and productivity gains. So, here's some stats that I'm going to share with you that speak to that, and there's going to also be some cautions about modern workplaces as well that I'm going to give you here.
Yeah.
So
Oh, really?
yeah. So the first one is studies show that modern workplaces have significant advantages over traditional ones. For instance, research by Gallup indicates that companies with flexible work arrangements experience 20 to 25% lower turnover rates compared to those without such policies. Additionally, a survey conducted by the Society for Human Resource Management, aka SHRM, found that
Hmm.
89% of HR professionals reported that offering flexible work arrangements positively impacted employee retention. So that's almost 90% of HR professionals saying, "Hey, us offering these flexible arrangements like really impacts the business."
Yep.
Moreover, modern workplaces tend to have higher levels of employee satisfaction and engagement. And I think that, like you said, that goes back to your work ethic because, hey,
Yep.
you've given me this benefit of working from home. Let me make sure I stay on top of my game and do what I have to do. Not saying that anybody that works in the office does any less, but I think there's more of an emphasis for people who work remotely. And
Yeah.
so, according to a report by Harvard Business Review, companies that prioritize employee well being see a 10 to 20% increase in employees' engagement levels. This engagement translates to higher productivity, with a study by Steelcase reporting that highly engaged employees are 21% more profitable. So it translates to more profit for the company because they're more, hey, they get stuff done. They want to bring about resolutions and change for the company. And so
Yep.
by companies offering these advantages or these benefits, it can really help out their bottom line too. But
Yeah.
however, modern workplaces also come with their own sets of challenges. One set One such challenge is maintaining work-life balance, as flexible work arrangements can blur the boundaries between work and personal life. A survey by the American Psychological Association found that 48% of employees experienced work-life conflict, which can lead to stress and burnout if not managed effectively.
Hmm.
Furthermore, effective communication can be more challenging in modern workplaces, especially with remote or distributed teams. A study by Interact found that 69% of managers surveyed admitted to being uncomfortable communicating with employees, leading to misunderstandings and decreased productivity. So that's saying, hey, it's been a challenge for remote managers to often communicate with their teams remotely because they're
Hmm.
not comfortable. So maybe that means
I
that, hey,
wonder why that is, though. Yeah.
maybe going back, maybe it's a global. So if I put it in terms of payroll, maybe, hey, I'm in the U.S. I only know English, but I have a worker that works for us that's in a different country, and there's a little
Yeah.
bit of a
I
language
couldn't do that.
barrier
Yeah.
that could be
Yeah.
difficult. Hey, I'm trying to explain it to my team. They're on my team, and there's just this difficulty. That's just an example one I can think of. I don't. There
Sure.
might be other situations, and additionally, modern workplaces must constantly adapt to the rapid technological advancements, which can be daunting for some employees. According to a report by Deloitte, 90% of employees feel their jobs are being transformed by technology, highlighting
Yeah.
the need for ongoing training and support to navigate these changes effectively. And so lots of companies are trying to model themselves as this modern workplace, but they may be behind in technology. So I think that's speaking to that. I think that may be a challenge for a lot of these companies now to navigate those things. Hey, you're trying to have modern policies, but you have traditional processes in place, right? And
Yeah.
so, so there needs to be some type of balancing act for these modern workplaces. So, in summary, modern workplaces offer numerous benefits such as increased flexibility, higher employee satisfaction, and improved productivity. They also present challenges related to work life balance, communication, and technological adaptation. By addressing these challenges proactively, employers can create environments that foster innovation, collaboration, and success in today's dynamic business landscape. Back to you, sir.
Yeah, that's I love it's a lot of good information, man. That's really action packed info there.
Mhm.
And I'm like as a manager, and I've been recently asked that, like, how do you manage your team remotely? And you just have to be intentional, right? You have to be proactive.
Yes, sir.
I don't like missing the one on ones. I do them weekly, and
Yes.
I don't like missing them because even if I don't have anything to talk about work wise, if they're okay to if they're not too busy, if my teammate is not too busy, I still want to
Yeah.
connect because there's times that we just BS. We'll just shoot the breeze for a few minutes, get to know each other a little better and
Hmm.
build because again, you're remote. You're not sitting next to them. You can't
Yes.
just reach over,
Yes.
right? There that
That's a
what's
great
up?
point. Look at my example. I'm single. I live home alone. I work home for most of the days. There's not a lot of human interaction. So
Yeah.
that can be that for some people who crave that from
Yeah.
people, that can be troubling for them. You can be in depressed, you can find yourself
Yep.
being or whatever down and out, and I think that can play into it too. Sorry for jumping in.
No, that's exactly what I want to talk about. Like just those dynamics. Like I'd be curious to understand what the details behind the challenges are for managers with remote teams. Like, what kind of challenges are you getting? And I guess, and yeah, we could speculate.
Hmm.
Sure, I could think of plenty of them. I actually know someone he manages a customer service team. They were home for the pandemic. I think they were going in like once a week, even during or like toward the end of the pandemic or whatnot. He's on a hybrid, but he said it too. The productivity went up when they went back to the office. You can't argue the numbers when the numbers are there. It's like I tell teammates when, right, my teammate has a theory like, oh, this is not working. Really? Prove it in the numbers.
Yep.
Everything
Yep.
we do is data driven. So it's prove it in the numbers and then we can address it. But if not, you're just speculating. You're just complaining,
Yeah.
really.
And we have to, I think, and I don't know if you agree, but one thing we have to consider is the industry that it's in as well. Because remote and distributed teams, as the stat spoke to, may work better for one type of organization
Yes.
or one type of
Agreed.
setup than another
Yes.
type of business model. So
Yep.
I think it
Exactly.
depends on that too.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not, yeah, it's not gonna we just like we said in the beginning of the show, it's not a one size fits all. Remote is not, it
mhm.
can't be for everybody.
Yeah.
Although the world is really pushing toward that, I think it's just not possible. Yeah, somebody's got to make the food still. But gosh, I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of all these things, right? Like, I get,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't, because with DoorDash and with ghost kitchens, like, you can have a remote. A lot of things can be remote, but some things just can't be. Yeah, I don't know. That caught me off guard. You like had the
Oh,
concern, like the challenges of working from home. I'm like, crap, no, we got to sell work from home. No, yeah, that's just a personal thing. But
yeah.
on the same end of it, even though I've been home for a few years now, I'm looking forward to going back outside. Like I'm somebody
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
enjoys the physical connections, how we say in church, fellowshipping and
Yes,
building and
bro.
what camaraderie, building a camaraderie.
Yes, bro.
So I'm looking forward to that. And but I also like, so I'm looking forward to a hybrid situation where
Yes.
I get
Yes.
the best
Yes.
of both worlds.
Yes.
Then there are
Yeah.
folks, and then there are extremes, right? There are folks who, I remember when the pandemic happened, like people couldn't wait to get back to the office. They hated working from home,
Yeah.
right? And I can see those challenges as well because there's times where the family just doesn't realize. I remember that in the beginning, bro, they didn't realize I was working. Family's in the house right now, so I was working. Like I'm
Yeah.
working. I can't cook right
Yeah.
now. I'm
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
Like I can't stop and
Yeah.
make lunch. I'm working. Like
Yeah.
it was crazy that I had neighbors that be like, "Oh, Brian, you should take this class and you should do this and you should do that." And I'm like, "Guys, I'm working from
Yes.
home.
I actually.
I didn't get
Yeah.
fired. I didn't get laid
I'm,
off.
I'm, I'm not a stay-at-home dad.
I'm not a stay-at-home dad. Like I gotta work 8 hours a day
Yeah.
still." And it took people a long time to understand that. So I definitely get those challenges.
Mm,
It's such a, I don't know, a conversation stirring topic for, especially for
yeah.
us because we work from home. And yeah, so let me get into my what I would like to share, and
Yes,
I
sir.
go into a little bit about the history of it, right? So it's like one of the main points concerning the evolution of the workplace design is the shift from that traditional cubicle based layout as in the cubes, and you it was crazy because at work around people, but you still feel alone because you can't see
Hmm.
anybody.
Your box.
You're boxed in. And
Yeah.
then see, but then it was very interesting because I've been in every scenario. Then I moved to a open work floor or open floor plan.
Yep.
I
Almost
have, and this is
cafeteria
very
style.
yes, exactly right. And the whole HR department was at one table, and like marketing was over there and accounting was over there. IT, like everybody had their table or two depending on how big your team was. And our biggest concern really was just security
Mhm.
because we did have security, meaning the information that's on our screen is sensitive. And I remember having to like always have to shut my screen or change my screen when somebody came up to talk to me.
Yes.
um the access to you is different because like I would just be working there and then a coworker would just, oh, by the way, let me ask you guys HR table, and they would act they felt free to just stop and talk, ask the whole
Yeah.
table. It was weird.
Yeah,
So some of
that,
it is
that's
weird.
yeah, that's different
Yeah.
than a lot of the traditional places we've been in because our payroll was probably blocked off on the other side of the building, so you just couldn't
Yes.
like you had to walk over. Or I know I worked at a place where HR had you had to use a badge to get into where HR
Get in.
was,
That's right. That's
right?
right.
And if you
You
didn't have
right. You
that
could,
badge,
yes.
you couldn't go in
You
there.
couldn't get in. Yep. You had to like wait at the front desk and get somebody to go
Yep,
get, hey, can you
yep,
come out? So and we did always argue that as an open HR, open floor plan, we were like, hey, this is cool, but HR really should be situated differently. And what
yeah.
we didn't get to evolve to this point, but we wanted to like turn against the wall so that our screens, you folks couldn't
Ah,
see our screens from behind and walk up on us.
yeah, yeah,
So that you do got to be mindful if you have an open floor plan, like how you do that, or if you work in an open floor plan, right? You might want to be sent payroll and HR is sensitive to that. But anywho, and now it's moving more towards a human centered designs. And what that means is like they create, I think it means they create like little spaces where you can work and move to and have a private space, right? So this
Yeah.
evolution reflects a growing recognition of the impact of physical office environment on employee productivity and well-being. Over the last 2 decades, workplace design has increasingly focused on creating spaces that not only accommodate the functional needs of employees, but also enhance their satisfaction, collaboration, and overall well-being. This includes the adoption of flexible working models like you spoke to, that give employee more freedom in choosing their work hours. So it doesn't always have to be right working from home. Maybe you can play with your schedule,
Yep.
locations, environments. I think about locations and I think, oh, if you're in a really big company and there's locations everywhere, maybe you can work from a different location because,
Yep.
hey, you're technically still going and you're still go reporting somewhere,
Yep.
but maybe it's not actually HQ. Maybe, some off-site field office has like some space and you can be in the back corner somewhere or something. And environments aiming to take more of the office a place where employees feel good and they collaborate effectively and they thrive.
Yep. Yep.
So, this human centered approach to workplace design is a response to changing demographics, the increased influence of technology, ongoing talent shortages, which really pushes that remote piece,
Yep.
and the need for workplaces to support a healthy and engaging work experience.
Yes, sir.
I think, right? I think that it's been such a shift to well-being because I've been in the workforce long enough now to see where people really didn't care about your well-being in the beginning, and it was like, leave your problems at home, leave your problems at
Yeah.
home, leave them at the door, leave them at the door. I remember one boss, he was so nosy, they wanted to be in my for real because they saw that something was off with me, and they forced this answer. And then after that I got the, "Oh, you gotta leave your problems at the door." And I was
Yep.
like, what? Wow.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
see, remember talking to Brad? Remember we talked to Brad Voorhees,
Yep.
and that was, folks. I'm sorry, that was on the other show. It's about payroll. Brad
Yeah.
Voorhees is a HR professional that's scaling up on a consulting business for HR. But he had
Yep.
some very interesting insights. It's a good show, and we got to find ways to drop clips on here for you all and listen to
Hmm.
things that cross over because there are a bunch of subjects that really cross over. But Brad was saying that now some HR departments are even faced with having to solve personal problems for their employees.
Mm.
And
Yep.
that's a super gray area. And I was like, what? Whoa. That threw me way back. I was like, whoa. Because man, that opens up a huge, I like it conceptually because as humans, we need help sometimes. And sometimes it's just
Yeah.
guidance. Hey, oh, you're going through that? Let me point you to the right direction. You know what
Yep.
I mean? How cool would it
Yes,
be
sir.
if, oh, I'm going to buy a house? Oh, really? Hey, let me give you some real estate agent names and some mortgage broker names and blah, 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 so you guys don't get robbed, right? Because
Yep.
that's a shady business. Real estate is a shady business. It can be very shady. You getting your car
Yes.
fixed, you want a mechanic? Let me give you some recommended mechanic places that we deal with, that's established, that we've vetted already.
Yes.
Those little things like that could be very cool to
Yeah.
get resources from, right? But there's some things that could be very challenging as well, and to see to for HR to solve that for you would be interesting. And I wonder,
Yeah.
folks, like if you guys out there, if you folks out there, good people out there, experience this at all. Do you go to your HR? Does your HR department help you? Share that with us. We'd love
Yeah.
to keep
Let
learning
us know.
about that. Yeah, let us know. It's very interesting. But I do love that it's all pushing to a wellness. There's nothing but
Yes.
wellness that's being talked about in these
Not
conversations about
enough.
workplace.
Not
Right.
enough. Yep. Not enough because there's
Yeah.
been a model of burnout in a lot of different
Yes.
corporate settings. Hey, do as much as you can with as little as you can,
Oh,
and
yeah,
like
for sure.
there's that model, and then but there's more companies that are trying to balance it out, right? Because it is a balancing act, right? You want to do
Yes.
what's fair
Yeah.
for the employee, but you also want to do what's fair for the employer
Yep.
or the company.
Yep.
So it's a
Yep.
balancing act, man. As we near the end of this episode, we like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you for listening. Before we sign off, here are a couple quick things. Don't forget to follow It's About Payroll on LinkedIn and It's About Your Paycheck on Facebook and TikTok. We love engaging with our audience, and you'll be able to receive exclusive updates and behind the scenes content. Thank you for being a part of our payroll community, and thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep going. So,
It
before we
is.
close this out, we're going to talk about, unless you have something else to say, we're
Mm-mm.
going to talk about
No,
our
that's it.
safe talk segment. We're going into that. So, let me ask you, Brian, can a workplace be too modern?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think so. Not to spoil it, but yeah, I mean, it's not on the same show. When I think about this, I was looking at the notes for our other show, and you have about bringing pets into the workplace.
Oh,
So this kind of falls there where it's like modern,
yeah,
and from an HR perspective, I've dealt with that question where employees like would bring their pet, and this was in a field locate. Like again, where I'm always in a support role where I do payroll or HR, and I've supported field locations, sales locations, stores, retail locate, whatever. And it was
yeah,
an instance where this person they were bringing their pet in, but here's the thing: some folks are allergic.
yep.
So
Some pets bite.
Oh gosh, yeah, some pets, but it's not maybe not even sanitary,
Hmm.
hygienic in some instances. So it's yeah, that's where it can be too modern. Where it's oh, everybody bring their pets in, and it's wait a minute, can we
Yeah.
though?
You.
Or we even had dress code issues where folks
Yes.
we try to be codes,
Yes.
and
Yes.
people just take it too far with the dress
Yeah.
code, and they're like, whoa,
That's funny, man. Because I'm telling on myself here, but we did that at this one place I worked at in my career, where they say, "Hey, during the summer, since it was hot, I was in Florida at the time. It's hot. You
oh
can wear shorts and tees." And
God, no.
so I
Sandals
have
is a very strict rule because there's a safety issue with sandals.
not only that, some people's feet they don't look the best. And so I used to play basketball and I was in the military. I've lost a toenail here or there doing whatever.
Uh,
I'm not saying my feet look raw or messed up like that, but some people were just like, "Ooh,
yeah, I don't want you want to see everybody's feet. You know what I mean? For sure.
yeah,
I would
man."
not show my feet.
And
Like
then
I would
and then
not.
another bro, another thing I think about. You remember what happened with WeWork when they first came out? They said it ended up being cultish because it was just like parties. Nobody was really doing any work or anything like that. They
Oh
were
yeah,
having food in there.
yeah.
I watched the documentary and they had live music and everything catered and this and that and this and
Okay.
that. I think they were
Yes.
trying to do too much at that. Right? Oh,
Yes.
let's make this lot, make it fun, and you come to work and it's so fun. Yeah.
I I think about too modern. Alcohol in the workplace is dangerous.
Oof.
And if you made me when you said that, the fun and everything and in the foosball and the pool tables and sometimes there's beer involved. And that could be dangerous.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
don't that could be really dangerous. And I'm not conceptually it's cool because we're all adults and we should all be
Yeah,
adult,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you have one too many and then that's it.
Yep.
It's that's
Or
the thing with
or
alcohol.
or if you have a problem, if God forbid you have
Word.
a
There you
problem,
go.
and
That's
next
right.
thing you're at work, and then you're getting belligerent, and it's like Mardi Gras over
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So that yeah, it could definitely be too modern. And that's where you got to talk to your HR department, folks. Like if your workplace is for real, like if your workplace is out
Yep.
of control, if there's something uncomfortable, you have to go talk to your HR department and that's their job. They're the people.
And that, man,
So
it's a balancing act.
yeah, for sure.
Yep.
It definitely is. It definitely is. So what
All
about you?
right.
What do you think? Is it
Um,
can be too modern, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a balancing act, man. Like
Yep.
you need to know where the line is, and say
Yeah.
like, hey, before we get to that point, maybe we should just make sure we don't ever get to that point and anybody cross that line. Now, some things are going to be learned through experiences, and unfortunately, certain things and situations happening. It's You're going to have to adapt, and companies are going to have to adapt when those things happen, bro.
Yep, agreed, agreed. Then there's fairness too. Like I think about a moment where something got misinterpreted, right? Me and my boss went out for a lunch, and it was more of a team building
Hmm.
thing. He was a new boss. I was his new direct report, and we was
Yep.
just get to know each other type thing, right? But we had a little too much fun, and I know I personally had one too many beers. I was working in Manhattan at the time, so I wasn't worried about getting home. I'm taking the train home anyway. I had too many and like my team saw it, and they weren't mad that I had too many drinks. They were mad that they didn't go to have drinks with us. So it was a fairness thing. And sure enough, we
Yeah.
to smooth the team over, we had to do a team one as well. So it
Yep.
wasn't so that
I get
and
it.
I and they yeah, they took it like no, and I was like, no, this is not personal. We just we went on, that was our one on one, and we went out, and unfortunately I had too many beers, and which has been the case early in my career. That was like the recurring theme there, and it was I
Yep.
was just young. You in the city is bright
Yep.
lights and a lot of beer.
Yep.
You know,
No, I get.
you gotta. It's it like you said it perfectly. It's a balancing act. It's a when it's from an HR perspective, folks think of it like everybody has to be treated equally. You got to treat like people the same. That doesn't mean everybody gets treated the same at companies, because executives could have different privileges than your frontline workers, and or your
Absolutely.
field workers could have different privileges than the people who work in the office. It just you know it, but every if you're a field, treat like people the same. So just
Yep.
keep that in mind, folks. If you feel like you are not being treated fairly, think about how it applies. And if it still doesn't look fair, go to HR and just be like, hey, this doesn't seem fair. But like how to, and let them explain it to you. Let them say, no, this is why. And if they have a
Exactly,
good
bro.
reason, then they're going to be justified. Yeah, but it is a balancing act, and I hope everybody has a good workplace out there, and you know, or is working toward that. And I hope we all
Yeah.
get to work in these good environments.
Yeah.
So we'll leave you at that. We wish you all the best, and we love you.
Peace.